Potential tropical cyclone 9. Eventually we'll have a simpler name for it, but it is what it is, and it's just a big surge of moisture and a blob of cloudiness encompassing much of the easternmost Caribbean. It does not have a clear-cut low-level circulation, and that's why it's still being classified as a potential cyclone or a potential tropical storm, because it does have peak winds of 45 miles per hour, and it's still a good 1,500 miles or so from our region. But the forecast track does still have some sights set on our general region, but it has to go through the Greater Antilles first, and then maybe impacting some of the land masses connected to those islands, then making a north turn somewhere around the Florida Straits by Friday into Saturday, and then perhaps an Atlantic movement or up the peninsula, or perhaps even in some cases off the west coast. There's still a pretty decent margin of error that far out, so that's why there's still a lot of questions as far as exactly where this system goes and in what form. One thing working in its favor, it's over very warm water in the Caribbean and eventually even into the far western Atlantic if it does move over those waters sufficiently warm. That's one thing that will keep it on a strengthening mode. However, there are some things in its way that could maybe stall that strengthening process. Still some existing dry air just off to the immediate west, plus the moisture itself will be encountering upper level winds that are faster, so that will slow down any kind of speedy strengthening mode that it tries to go into. These red zones indicate where the shear is lowest, and that means it would be more favorable for development there, but it's not within those regions through Friday. So upper winds will slow it down. Also, we have to consider how it will move and why there's such a big question about where it goes when it gets closer to Florida. There's that Atlantic Bermuda high set to weaken on its western end, but locally speaking, or closer to our area, we'll have a cold front and a trough of low pressure over the Mississippi Valley. That's what's going to help to make it move more to the north. But exactly how fast that high weakens or how strong that trough is, that's the big question, and that's why there's still a lot of uncertainty as far as what form it takes and where it goes. So if it stays in the western Atlantic or maybe rides up the Florida East Coast, our local effects will be very minimal. We could actually have an enhanced drier trend. But if it goes into the west coast or the eastern Gulf, which is not impossible, but it's a less likely scenario, that would put us in a wetter and windier scenario likely by Sunday or into Monday. So it's not a guarantee we're going to have worse weather from this system, and there's still many details to work out, especially once we get a little more fine-tuned, refined data going into